I want to start by providing some general insight into the topic of ethical leadership. Ethical leadership is about demonstrating and promoting ethically acceptable behavior through personal action and interpersonal relationships. This involves making a commitment to integrity, honesty, and ethical conduct in all situations. The ethical leader. Why doing the right thing can be the key to competitive advantage? By Morgan Witzel delves into the concept of ethical leadership from different perspectives, emphasizing the necessity of ethical leadership for the success of any organization, which supports that ethical behavior is not merely a moral responsibility, but can give organizations a competitive edge and potentially lead to the business success. The book firstly focuses on defining ethics and leadership separately. Witzel discusses that ethics is the defined system of moral principles that guide actions, and leadership is the process of influencing others towards achieving group or organizational goals. The author suggests that ethical leadership involves both demonstrating and promoting ethical conduct. Next, Witzel explores the advantages and challenges of ethical leadership. The book highlights that while ethical leadership can enhance employee morale, customer satisfaction, and corporate reputation, it can also be challenging balancing ethical consideration against other objectives. Dealing with ethical dilemmas and managing resistance to change are all explored truly. Witzel then moves on to discussing the role of leaders in setting and promoting ethical standards. He asserts that leaders should set clear ethical standards, act as role models, and encourage ethical conduct among their employees. The author also stresses the importance of accountability and openness in ethical leadership. He presents various case studies as example of ethical behavior. The book also elaborates on the specific practices and behaviors that promotes office ethics. These include open communication, fair treatment of employees, and encouraging ethical decision-making. He delves into the need for a strong corporate governance and corporate social responsibility. Later, Witzel discusses how ethical leaders should respond under pressure and in the face of dilemmas. He asserts that ethical leaders should not compromise their ethical standards even when pressured by external factors. Instead, they should find creative solutions that uphold ethics. While making ethical decisions, Witzel presents some frameworks as a role model to ask these questions while making ethical decisions, which are the Nash framework. The Nash framework: have you defined the problem accurately? 2. How would you define the problem if you stood on the other side of the fence? 3. How did the situation occur in the first place? 4. To whom and what do you give your loyalties as a person and as a member of the organization? 5. What is your intention in making this decision? 6. How does this intention compare with the likely results? 7. Whom could your decision or action injure? 8. Can you engage the affected parties in a discussion of the problem before you make your decision? 9. Are you confident that your position will be as valid over a long period of time as it seems now? 10. Could you disclose without qualms your decisions or actions to your boss, your CEO, the board of directors, your family, or society as a whole? 11. What is the symbolic potential of your action if understood, if misunderstood? 12. Under what conditions would you allow exceptions to your stance? The Josephson Institute framework clarify 1. Determine precisely what must be decided. 2. Formulate and devise the full range of alternatives. 3. Eliminate potential impractical, illegal, and improper alternatives. 4. Force yourself to develop at least 3 ethical justifiable options. 5. Examine each option to determine which ethical principles and values are invalid. Evaluate. 1. If any of the options requires the sacrifice of any ethical principle, evaluate the facts and assumptions carefully. 2. Distinguish solid facts from beliefs, desires, theories, suppositions. 3. Consider the credibility of sources, especially when they are self-interested, ideological, or biased. 4. With regard to each alternative, carefully consider the benefits, burdens, and risks to each stakeholder. Decide. Make a judgment about what consequences are most likely to occur. Evaluate the viable alternatives according to personal conscience. 3. Prioritize the values so that you can choose which values to advance and which to subordinate. 4. Determine who will be helped the most and harmed the least. 5. Consider the worst case scenario. 6. Consider whether ethically questionable conduct can be avoided by changing goals or methods or by getting consent. 7. Apply the 3 ethics tests. 7a. Are you treating others as you should want to be treated? 7b. Would you be comfortable if your reasoning and decision were to be publicized? 7c. Would you be comfortable if your children were observing you? Next, implementation or implement. Number 1. Develop a plan of how to implement the decision. 2. Maximize the benefits and minimize the cost of risk. Monitor and modify. Number 1. Monitor the effects of decisions. Number 2. Be prepared and willing to revise a plan or take a different course of action. 3. Adjust to new information. The Markula Center Framework recognizes an ethical issue. Number 1. Could this decision or situation be damaging to someone or to some group? Does this decision involve a choice between good and bad alternative, or perhaps between 2 goods or between 2 bads? 2. Is this issue about more than what is legal or what is most efficient? If so, how? Get the facts. Number 1. What are the relevant facts of the case? What facts are not known? Can I learn more about the situation? Do I know enough to make a decision? Number 2. What individuals and groups have an important stake in the outcome? Are some concerns more important? If so, why? Number 3. What are the options for acting? Have all the relevant persons and groups been consulted? Have I identified creative options? Evaluation or evaluate alternative actions. Which option will produce the most good and do the least harm? Which option best respect the rights of all who have a stake? Which option treats people equally or proportionately? Number 4. Which option best serves the community as a whole, not just some members? 5. Which options leads me to act as the sort of person I want to be? Next, make a decision and test it. Considering all these approaches, which option best addresses the situation? If I told someone I respect or told a television audience which option I have chosen, what would they say? Act and reflect on the outcome. Number 1. How can my decision be implemented with the greatest care and attention to the concerns of all stakeholders. How did my decision turn out, and what have I learned from this specific situation? Finally, the book closes with a look at how to develop and nurture ethical leadership within an organization, here embracing diversity, focusing on long-term sustainable success over short-term profit, and fostering an environment conducive to ethical decision are all highlighted as significant ingredients of a competitive business strategy. Throughout the book, Witzel cites various real-life examples of leaders who have either upheld or breached ethical principles. He also provides useful tools and models for leaders to use in considering ethical and decision making. In summary, The Ethical Leader is a comprehensive discourse on ethical leadership. Witzel makes a compelling case for the integration of ethical considerations into business leadership, proposing that ethical leadership isn't just a periphery aspect of corporate life, but is centered to a company's long-term competitive advantage. Thank you for listening to this summary book. If you want to hear and listen more, please comment in below this video and tell us what kind of books do you want, how we can improve, or if you have any other questions. Thank you.